Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello there, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Gettin Sketchy Live, the greatest live broadcast in all of YouTube. I'm glad to have you guys along with us tonight, as I think this is just episode 7. I think this is episode 7 of season 13.
Did you do the first drawing this season?
That's a great question.
It's 6 or 7.
It's 6 or 7. I'm pretty sure it's 7. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure this is episode 7.
Very
Anyway, what we do here is we try to create a drawing for you inside of 45 minutes. And we also tried to sprinkle in some entertainment and some instruction as well. And we're going to be doing that tonight. I'm going to be doing the drawing tonight. And of course, this is live. And, anything can happen here. And it usually does, as I forgot to bring back up the chat box.
There we are.
Anyway, we are in a world of frozenness here in North Carolina where we are. There's still a good amount of snow on the ground. I wish it would go away. I like that it, fell and we had fun, but now I'm ready for it to move on. It's pretty cold, and it's only going to get colder. And I know if you're in the United States, that especially the eastern part and the central part of the country, I know that you are also dreaming of spring, or maybe you're dreaming of spring. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about the weather. We're going to be using markers and colored pencils tonight, and we're also going to use a little bit of a gel pen. I don't really use gel pens much, but we're going to use one tonight. But Ashley is joining me as always. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you for asking. I hope you folks are doing well. Where did the week go? It seems like we were just together, and we're back together again. So I hope you've got your art supplies out, and you're ready to follow along with Matt tonight.
Yep, and tonight is going to be a tremendous challenge. I know I always say that it's going to be challenging, but tonight it's going to be really challenging because of the time constraint. We're going to be dealing with text tonight. I need to be pretty accurate, but also a little bit loose because we're going to be going very quickly. It's going to be loose because I'm going a little bit quickly, but we'll try to keep as much precision in there as possible.
Controlled chaos.
Right, controlled chaos. That's a good way to put it. If you are watching this live, there is a chat box, of course. You can post comments and questions. If you do have a comment or question that's directed specifically at Ashley or I, we ask that you use the super chat function. Not only does that make your comment or question featured in the chat box, but it also helps our channel out a little bit, and we would definitely appreciate it. Also, if you have not yet already, a lot of you that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. And Ashley and I were talking about it beforehand. Kind of stuck here. It looks like 982,000-ish subscribers right now.
So close.
Yeah, just 18,000 subscribers away from 1 million. So if you're one of those people out there who have not subscribed to the channel, but you watch all of our content or you watch some of the content, why not subscribe and click the notification bell too, so you're notified when new videos are uploaded and when we go live like this. If you want to get on our mailing list and check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks of what we offer at thevirtualinstructor.com, there's a link in the description below for that. And don't forget about the membership program, where there are a ton of drawing and painting courses, classes. We do weekly live lessons. In fact, after Getting Sketchy, we're going live for members. We do this every week for an hour long. All of our live lesson series are recorded and stored in the vault, so you can go back and watch any of the live lesson series that we've ever done. And there's also weekly critiques that I produce that feature critiques of member-submitted artwork. And there's also a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers. You can look for the link in the description below this video if you want to learn more about the program, or if you want to start your free trial. We start everyone off with a week-long trial for free, so you can see if the program's right for you. Or you can just scan the handy-dandy QR code there in the corner of your screen if you're on a TV or something like that, and that will take you to a page where you can learn more about our program, and all that is available to you. Not only is the program incredibly comprehensive, but it is also insanely affordable. So again, if you want to learn more about the program, link in the description below. All right, I think that's all the stuff I normally say.
I think that's everything, and I think you need to switch over and get started because...
Well, it only matters when the timer starts.
That's true.
I haven't started the timer yet. I'm sitting really low here tonight. Got a lot of headroom going on. This is called procrastination.
You've shrunken your torso.
Yeah. We were talking about that beforehand too. All right, I guess I can put it off no longer. Let's go ahead and switch over. Alrighty.
There it is.
Alrighty. Well, one thing I forgot to mention is that we are working from a photo reference. And if you want to have the photo reference, all you have to do is go to the channel, the YouTube channel. So to do that, you click on the little icon of my face in the lower left-hand corner. And then you will click on the community tab. And the top post on the community tab will be this photo reference along with a link back to the video that you're watching right now. So you can come right back to it. If you want to draw alongside of me, of course, I'll have the photo reference up during the entirety of the broadcast. So you can use it to make comparisons and see all the mistakes I make. But you can also use it to follow along as well. This obviously is a Red Bull can. I used to drink Red Bull, and then I got smart and decided that it was bad for me. And it was bad for me because I was getting stomach aches from it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do like the taste of Red Bull.
Well, you might need one tonight.
I don't think so. I don't think I need Red Bull or caffeine or any of that stuff. I need caffeine in the morning, but not Red Bull.
Okay.
Anyway, this is what we're going to be drawing tonight. I think it would be a fun challenge. There's some reflection in there. There's lots of detail. There's text. This is a primary scheme for the most parts. So there you go. There is some color theory in action in the real world there. And we're going to be working on marker paper. Now, this is marker paper by Canson. Here is a look at the pad that I got the paper out of. This paper is phenomenal for working with markers. It is pretty thin paper. You can see it's only 18 pounds. So I like to put something behind it just to give it a little bit more rigidity and also to make it a little bit more solid. It is just barely translucent. So I've got a sheet of hot press watercolor paper behind it. You can use Bristol paper or something like that if you want to do that, or you can just draw directly on the marker paper in the pad if you want. If you don't have marker paper, then I would suggest using a paper with a smooth surface for this, since we're going to be applying alcohol-based markers. And for my alcohol-based markers, I'm going to be using Prismacolor Premier markers. Now, it's important to note that alcohol-based markers perform differently than your standard everyday, I wanted to say over-the-counter markers, but your standard markers that you buy at the art store or at the regular store. These markers allow you to put translucent applications down, so you can put multiple layers on the surface and build up the intensity of the color and also darken the value as you do that. So alcohol-based markers, you can use any brand that you want. You don't have to use these Prismacolors that I'm using. And the only thing I don't like about these Prismacolor markers are the caps. They are really hard to get off. You see it has that little tab right there? That is really a pain. So I've got various colors that I've already picked out in preparation. And I'm going to be using Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. I've picked out a few colors that I'm going to be using as well. I'll do my best to name the colors, but really, when I'm choosing colors, I don't think about the names of the colors. I just pick a color that I think is close to what I'm trying to match. A lot of people kind of get a little obsessed with matching colors and picking out the same color. Like I said, I'll do my best to try to call out the colors as I use them, but you don't have to get too obsessed with the names of the colors. I do have two colorless blenders here. I've got one that's pretty well used and one that still has a little bit of life to it. I'll be using that to smooth out some of the colored pencil applications, so we don't really see much of the texture of the paper there. And I also have a couple of gel pens. Like I said, I don't really use the gel pens that much, but I think for what we're doing tonight, I think they're going to help out a little bit. Now I'm going to be sketching things out with a graphite pencil. So I have a 5H graphite pencil. And the reason why I'm using such a light pencil is on the marker paper, this pencil does, or the graphite marks do stand out a little bit more. And due to the smoothness of the paper, it's real easy for the graphite to smear. So it's advisable to use a harder graphite. The lighter pencils are the harder graphite. So 5H, that really means 5 hard, I guess. The H stands for hard, from what I understand. These make lighter marks. The B pencils, from what I understand, stand for black, which doesn't make sense.
It's not really the opposite of hard.
They should be S. Should be
2S,
2S, 3S. But that would confuse people, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's just make them mean different things. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Do we have any questions?
There was a question about the live class after this program. Terry Beck wonders, how does she get, she's a member, and wonders, how does she get to the live class, which airs 45 minutes after Gettin Sketchy?
You go to thevirtualinstructor.com and you log in. If you go to thevirtualinstructor.com, right on the homepage, there's a link to log in. You'll enter your username and password, and then you just click on the live tab at the top of the website, and that will take you to our live hub. We have the live classes. We also have what I call TVI TV, which is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, premium content from thevirtualinstructor.com. That's free for everyone. It's not everything we offer, obviously. I select 6 lessons from our premium content to share each month. That's a new thing, by the way. And then there's also Gettin Sketchy, which you're watching right now. So that's actually being simulcast over there, if you will. Anyway, you're looking for the live classes, and then you'll just click on the button that says live stream, and there you are. So I made that really wordy, but again, visit the website, log in, click on the live tab, and then click on the button for the live stream.
All right, very good.
Pretty
And
simple.
Lisa Henning wonders about the paper size.
Oh, good question. Okay, so I'm keeping this drawing relatively small. This is 5 inches by 6.8 inches. So it's kind of a little bit odd to have 6.8 inches, but that's the composition that I framed this in. This is a photo that I took, and I just framed this down like that. So we got some perspective going on, and I think we're ready. Are we ready?
I'm ready. Jan says advanced procrastination tonight.
Yeah,
So-
I'm really good at that.
So,
I'm really good at that.
but we're ready.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to turn on the timer, and I'm going to be blazing through this. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where the top of the can is going to be located. And I'm also going to look at the negative space at the bottom and determine where I want the bottom of the can to
A
be
little more
located.
space at the bottom than the top.
Then I'm going to figure out where the edges of the top of the can need to be. And I'm just going to make a couple of light marks there. And then I'm going to figure out where the edges at the bottom of the picture plane are going to be. And I am using the edges of the picture plane over here to determine that. All right, now that I've got a good idea of where that's going to be, let's say the bottom of our ellipse is going to be about right here.
So Matt's giving himself targets to aim at before he actually starts to draw the contours.
Now I'm going to draw a few light lines to indicate the contour or the ellipse at the top. And then I'm just going to start carving out the inside part of the top part of the can. And I know these marks are really light here at the beginning, and people get on to me for drawing light. But this is how the pudding's made. Does anybody ever say that?
No.
Okay. Well, I just said it. This is how the pudding's made.
You heard it here. Start using it.
Yeah. What am I thinking of? This is how
we make the donuts. And it's something that's about getting up early. Time to make the donuts.
No,
It's how the sausage is made.
This is how the sausage is made.
That's right. And nobody wants to see that, but we want to see this. This is better than sausage.
Yeah, who wants to see sausage being made? That's gross.
I like sausage.
I like eating it, but I don't want to see it being made. That will make me not want to eat it. So anyway, I've got this ellipse at the top. I got a good idea of where the opening of the can's going to be. I'm not going to spend too much time with that. And then I'm going to look at the fact that this goes down at an angle because we are looking at the can from above. So technically speaking, this is an example of a can in 3-point perspective.
All right. Jan has also pointed out your euphemism. There's the phrase, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And I think you put that together with this is how the sausage is made.
Oh,
So now it's all clear to me now.
So now just the lines in my head were just crossed
They just
the
crossed
wrong
a
way.
little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so we want to create the illusion of space and perspective here. And I'm just going to do a little bit of altering with the ellipse. I don't have time to really be real fussy with the ellipse up here at the top.
And you're going to revisit it with 2 more media.
Right.
So you can make adjustments, and that's for you folks at home as well, on your second pass across a contour. I do that. I try not to be too fussy early in a drawing that's going to be a painting. Sometimes I'm thinking as a painter, because when I paint up against those contours, I can move them a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to create another landmark, and that's going to be the circle where the bulls come together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to use that to figure out where the diagonal line comes down right down through the middle of that.
Yeah, this is a nice example in design of creating emphasis. We've got little edges that converge at that yellow dot, and then the dot is also the only part that's yellow. So it's got two different aspects of the design of this can, creating a point of emphasis. That's cool. You can do it in regular composition too, that has lots of different elements to the subject, different from this composition, which is just the can.
Okay, and we'll notice the curvature of the can as it goes up the side pretty dramatically on this edge, and then draw that on the other side, again, coming out of the circle.
Yeah. Buddy has a great question, and it relates to the curve you're drawing in the middle of the can also, but she asks specifically about the ellipses at the top and bottom. She says, why are the ellipses on the rim and on the bottom so very different in shape? And you'll notice that curve in the middle of the can is kind of it's more curved than the ellipse at the top, but less curved than the bottom of the can. And that's because of the perspective. I think Lord Engine pointed out that this is 3-point perspective, and it's definitely using the third dot in 3-point perspective. We don't really need dot 1 and dot 2 here, but there's a vanishing point that's really, really low, below the level of the can, that the vertical sides of the can are converging toward. And any curve between those 2 vertical lines that are coming out of that third vanishing point, they're going to be more curvy the closer they are to the vanishing point, and less curvy, like the top, the further it is from the vanishing point. And it's just because we're looking down more at the ellipse at the bottom of the can than we are at the ellipse at the top. And were we to lift this can up higher, eventually the ellipse on top would become a flat line. And were we to keep lifting it up, it would start to curve in the other direction. So it's all about our eye level and how far or close those ellipses are to the vanishing point.
Yeah, it's whenever you have, this is essentially foreshortening.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you have any type of foreshortened subject, you're going to see some distortion. So even though the top part of this can and the bottom part are in reality probably the same, because we're viewing it at this angle, there is some distortion. And that's what makes drawing even simple things like a cylinder a little bit more challenging when we see them in perspective.
Yeah, you could draw this can and have those curves at the top and bottom perfectly match. And you could have the sides of the can, the left and right edges, perfectly parallel, and it would look correct, it would look accurate, but it really wouldn't look like our natural way of seeing. Being that part of this can is a little farther from our eyes. Jan mentions a good exercise. You can hold a glass up in front of your eyes or just below it and see a very thin ellipse, and then move the glass down and watch that ellipse become more like a circle. So that's a great exercise to do. That doesn't involve any drawing. It just informs our concept of perspective and seeing it through our own eyes.
Okay, what we're going to do here is we are going to, for now, we're going to leave energy drink out. If we have enough time to come back and add it later, we will with colored pencils. But I want to have enough time to concentrate on the text here, the big letters. So I'm going to start here with the B. Looks like it overlaps the stripe. And the B looks pretty straight. Doesn't look like there's that much of an angle.
Yeah, it's pretty central, isn't it? It's actually more central than the that little sun logo.
And again, you can spend a lot of time making this as perfect as you wish with your own drawing, but I'm going to have to go pretty quickly here so I can have time to do all the things that I need to do, which is a lot.
We can thank Red Bull for not choosing a font with serifs. That would have slowed Matt down. So thankfully, this is relatively
well. The serifs, you know, I wouldn't have minded the serifs because instead they chose a font that is unique. You know, the B doesn't come around and connect.
Right, so that little gap in the middle.
With the serifs, you can add those. You can add those little feet. I think serif actually means feet. I think it is. I don't know if it's Latin or not. All right.
I don't know.
Let's pull this around here. I'm just going to give me a little bit of a guideline.
Just like notebook paper, but curved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
curve around the can.
Lord Engine had a comment, and I thought about it myself. He said, Andy Warhol would have loved this. And you know, Matt, the first thing I wrote on my paper of notes when I saw your reference was pop art. Would you consider this pop art?
Yeah, I would, because it's
I would too.
It's an image of popular culture. Yeah. You know, this is part of our popular culture.
It's mass produced. It's basically a sign.
You know, it's interesting. When I was in the School of Design, not at the school I graduated from, but the professor I had, we had a project where he assigned us artists that he thought we were, I guess, most like or could relate to the most.
Okay.
And my artist was Roy Lichtenstein.
How about that?
Yeah. Who was a pop artist.
I would call that a compliment. I'm a big fan of Roy Lichtenstein myself.
All right, so I've gone a little bit further around the can with the bull, but that's okay. With the word bull, not with the bull. All right, and then we'll swing this around. Couple of lines here for me to get the red in. Start over here with the R, which we can't see too much of. There's quite a bit of distortion in this R shape too. Really, all of the shapes. There's quite a bit of distortion. And it really more difficult than if we were just looking at this straight on.
Mm-hmm. But much cooler.
Yeah, much cooler. And I think that our finished result's going to look more like a painting than it will a photorealistic drawing. So we don't have to get too caught up in perfection here. We should really never get too caught up in perfection. But especially when we're doing a timed sketch like this. All right. I think that is pretty much all the information we need on the can before we start making the marker applications. I am going to go ahead and give an indication of the... Is this a pop top?
Yeah, I think so.
For the pop top. And I just really want to know where it is. So when I make my marker applications and my pen and ink applications, I don't have to guess We're going to have just a little bit shadow down here at the bottom. All right. Gosh, I needed to have 10 minutes on the sketch. All right. First color we're going to use here is 20% cool gray. I can find it here. And I'm just going to go ahead and cover the entire top of the can here with the cool gray. Very light. It's going to dry even lighter. Just using the fat end of the marker here to just get this down real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and go over all of our silver areas with this color. And I'm going to go all the way over
Right over the letters.
right over the letters.
Something you have to get used to with alcohol-based markers is that they do dry a little bit lighter.
Yeah, it's going to look pretty dark, pretty solid initially, but it'll dry a little bit later.
As I started using markers a little bit more, and this is very recent for me, I made little swatches to look at that are, of course, already dry, so that when I start using the markers, I can glance up at those swatches and have a better idea of how much it's going to change as it dries. Otherwise, I get scared. Feel like I'm doing too much. I'm going too dark too soon.
Yeah, these applications we just made are going to appear almost white in a minute, believe it or not, I believe. All right, we'll let that dry up a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and move on to some marker applications here. Let's start with the letters. And I'm going to start with, this is Poppy Red here. And this color is going to be a little bit orangey, but we will tone it down with colored pencil applications. So we're using these markers as essentially an underpainting, but the markers are, it's not so much a total underpainting because the markers are going to work in tandem with the colored pencils. There's going to be some parts of this image, I believe, where we're just seeing marker applications. But most of the applications, we will apply colored pencils over the top. And if this was a finished drawing, meaning not a quick sketch like we're doing here, I would probably be applying the colored pencils to all of these areas. Mm. We'll go ahead and fill in our bulls. I'm just concerned about the shape of the bull, not the little outlines that are there. We can fill those in with the gel pen. Just the overall shape. I feel like these kind of look like warthogs.
Yeah. All right, Artful Doc has shared a super chat. He says, "Hey from Charlotte, y'all."
Hey.
Blessings to you both. Thank you so much.
Down the road.
Thank you so much, Artful Doc.
I lived in Charlotte for a number of years. And go to Charlotte all the time still. But I am very glad that I don't live in Charlotte anymore. The traffic
I was going to say, not unless you like spending time in your car. Right.
All right. Thanks for that super chat. It's time for your cheer.
Yeah!
All right, I've switched over to a yellow now. I do believe this is canary yellow. But you can see it's a little bit too primary. The yellow in the label is a little bit darker. So I'm going to go over the top of it with, I believe, goldenrod. No, this is yellow ochre. If I can get the top off. Yes. Did that fly across the screen?
It's off now. I didn't see it on the screen.
Oh, I don't know where the lid went. Oh my goodness. There's the lid.
Yeah, hear it rattling.
I'm trying to go too fast. Oh, I even missed a place here. Silver.
Ah,
The
yes.
gray. All right. Next, let's see. What do we want to do next? Let's put a little bit of yellow up here. Do this with the very yellow.
Yeah, I see that.
That's gonna seem really strong initially. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna tone it down with some grays in just a minute. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the blue sections. Now I'm actually gonna start with Copenhagen blue, which you're gonna see is lighter and somewhat of a different blue than our bottle's gonna be. And my goodness. Marker doesn't have a lot in it. So you'll see this is a different blue, but we're going to make everything a little bit darker.
So we've got a couple questions, Matt. The first is, can you still erase the pencil after you've applied your marker and pen?
No, you cannot. The pencil will live underneath those, but you don't need to. And you'll see why.
Yeah, we probably won't really
cover,
notice it.
Yeah, all this is going to be covered up. All the pencil marks are going to be covered up.
And another question is, why are you using colored pencils? Couldn't you just do the whole thing with markers?
I could, but the colored pencils allow us to refine things, add details, and alter the colors and the values of those colors a little bit better.
You can use it to create really subtle gradation in there as well. And there's some of that.
Yeah, we're going to, one of the things that's going to make the can look more realistic is the highlights and things that we are going to add.
Colored pencil over marker is a great process.
We got 25 minutes left, so we're not even halfway, right?
That's right. But don't slow down.
I'm definitely not slowing down. We need to be further along than this.
But he says, take all the time in the world. Take your time.
I don't have all the time in the world. All right, so let's go down here and we'll fill in these other blue areas. And then we'll grab our second blue. And then we'll start working on some of these metal sections as well.
You know, another way to reframe that last question is, why are you using markers? You could do the whole thing just in colored pencils. And I'm going to piggyback that with Lord Engine's most recent comment. He said he did a colored pencil illustration the other day, and it took hours compared to the same illustration with watercolor markers. So the marker step that Matt is in the middle of now really speeds up the process of landing on an image at the end that, could have been done with either one media or the other, but they, in some ways, they complement each other in this process. And so it'll speed up the drawing were it done just with, compared to just doing it with colored pencils. And it can be a little bit more subtle and refined compared to doing it just with markers. So
it's definitely going to be more refined than if we just use markers, for sure. All right, now we're going to switch over to.
I'm sorry, buddy. I said piggyback, which just means sort of ride on the back of something, and in this case, it was Lord Engine's last comment. So piggybacking on that.
Okay, now this color is it ultramarine or blue violet? I can't remember.
Looks like
this is blue violet. Yeah. And we're going to start making some of the shapes for some of the darker values here. Just focused on the shapes of darker blue that I see up there at the top.
There's reflections. Could be a reflection of Matt in there.
I'm sure it is.
That might be what that is.
Yeah, I think this is the black sweatshirt I was wearing when I photographed this. And me upside down. And we've got.
All right, Buddy has another question. Would markers work on pastel matte, or would the nibs just be destroyed?
The nibs would be just destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I'm going to add a little bit more variety in the darker shadows that I see here, just to make the can feel a little bit more metallic. Oh, look at this. Left this entire blue part off the bottom. Oh! Oh! Going way too fast.
All right, we've got a super chat from Turtle, and he says, colored pencils over markers cheating. You have to have hand cramps from colored pencils, or you're a cheater. Love you guys. You're great. Yeah, if this was done with all colored pencils, after about 3 or 4 layers, you can start getting some hand cramps. So I guess that's another benefit.
Yeah.
It's a little easier on the hands for the product that you end up with.
Yeah, and don't drive your car to the store. Walk. You're cheating if you do.
That's right. That's right.
All right, let's bring that dark shape down here. All right, let's start doing some work to the metal. So now I'm going to grab 50% cool gray, and we're going to start creating a little bit of variety in the metal. So I'm just going to look at where the values are a little bit darker. I'm going to start creating these little marks, just like I'm painting here, painting quickly.
Yep, that's just like that. Just little touches of lights and darks. Comes together in the end.
And again, this color, this is 50% cool gray, so it's stronger than the 20% we used before, but it's still also going to dry a little bit lighter. So if you're using all baked markers like I am, it's going to keep that in mind. So we revisit that area up there multiple times here. All right, so let's go ahead and go with this gray right over the top of the yellow section. Told you we were. I'm going to dull that down a little bit. Then we'll also draw that shadow shape down the side. Bring a little bit of that over here as well. Create a little bit more variety in the blue before we go over the top of it with colored pencils. We're going to go a little darker still and go to 70% cool gray. And I really need 20 minutes for the colored pencils.
And 1 minute for the gel pen. But he says that it's always great to see how you can change colors when using grays. And Matt did that. On the right side of our can, we went over that yellow area. So that is very true. You can do it with other media also. Sometimes, when we're trying to dull a color, I like to do it by adding the complement of a color to the first color. So, for example, if I have a blue and I want it to be weaker, I'll add a little bit of orange. But you do run the risk of it turning greenish, which in that case, you have to add a little bit of red. An easy way to dull a blue is just to add a little gray to it. And that's for in color. So some painters like to keep gray mixed on their palette, maybe a light and a medium and a dark version, so they can pull that into their colors to control their chroma, to control the intensity of their colors. So 2 ways, with complements or with neutrals.
Okay, as you can see, I've switched over to colored pencils.
All right.
Now. And I'm going to be flying here.
And we can see just a touch of texture in this relatively smooth paper from the colored pencils so far.
Yeah. This is ultramarine that I'm using here. I'm just going to put a light application of it down over the blue sections. And that brings our blue back a little bit more like what we would expect with a Red Bull can.
Well, Ann M. said that she's impressed with the markers alone. And you're going to love the result if you like the markers.
Thanks, and I still got a long way to go here. But maybe everything will come together here in the next 15 minutes. Good Lord. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and burnish this with the colorless blender, and that's going to get rid of some of the texture produced by the colored pencils, the light colored pencil application that I made.
Yeah, it just forces that color down into the low microscopic pits of the paper. Sometimes it can feel like it actually darkens your artwork a bit, the colorless blender, only because it's helping to cover those white speckles, which optically blend with our color and make it seem lighter.
Now, obviously, if I was taking my time with this, I would not be going so violently and quickly with the colorless blender or with the colored pencil applications or even the marker applications. I'd be working pretty slow and deliberate, but we got to go pretty quick here.
And you can do that if you want to slow down at home and spend a little more time on your sketch. You always can.
All right, I'm gonna grab a little bit of what is this, poppy red? That is crimson red, and we're gonna refine the Red Bull letters now.
Mary Elizabeth says, Matt, are the markers an underpainting? And Matt talked a little bit about that earlier in the program. He's calling it an underpainting or like a pseudo underpainting because in this case, some of the marker may still be fully exposed at the very end.
Right.
Different than a traditional underpainting.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to cover everything with colored pencils just because of the time constraint. So it is somewhat of an underpainting, but they're kind of working together more so than just being a full-on underpainting.
All right, Brayson Hearted wants me to let you know that they've talked about it, and you can have more time tonight if you'd like.
Oh, well, I'm glad you've given me permission for that.
Well, I don't agree with that.
I'm still trying.
I need Matt's table.
Right. Well, I will give it to you when I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm still going to try to finish this in the time constraint. we'll have some semblance of it.
Yeah, that's part of the fun. Just
Yeah.
trying to make it happen in that 45 minutes.
But I'm still gonna take it to at least the level where I'm at least partly happy with it. All right, now let's go ahead and do some more work in here. We're gonna take let's see, a lighter blue now, and we're gonna start pulling out some of the highlights. This is cloud blue. I'm putting pretty heavy pressure. We just want to create some variety up here. You see how this little highlight right here goes around the edge, and it's really strong.
Gets really light near that edge. I have an interesting question from Bear in the Garden.
Okay.
Matt and Ashley, with all your experience, is it usually clear to you how an artist created their artwork, or do you still see some art and wonder how it was done?
It's been a long time since I've seen a piece of artwork and not really understood or known how it was
Like
made.
kind of been able to deconstruct it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Except sculpture. Sometimes I'll see a sculpture and not entirely understand what maybe some of those choices the artist made and maybe how they've used the materials together. So I still get a sense of wonder sometimes from looking at some sculptures. But for two-dimensional art, usually, I can tell how it was made or probably what pigments were on the palette, stuff like that. Not because we're smart, just because
of experience.
Just because of experience. I would never accuse myself of intelligence.
Okay, again, just trying to create a little bit more variety in the blues here. We're going to go darker in just a minute.
Look how light that first 20% cool gray that Matt put down at the very beginning appears now.
Yeah, I told you.
Remember how dark it seemed?
I told you it would eventually look almost white.
Yeah, it's just barely darker than the paper. So, good call there.
All right, speaking of which, let's start making some of these grays a little bit more substantial. This is 20% cool gray, and I'm actually going to almost fill in this entire section right here.
Buddy says, how do you get the experience looking at other people, at others' art? I can't even tell about my own art after a while how it's been done. I guess Matt and I have a unique perspective on that. A little bit beyond the artist, it's our experience as art teachers. We've watched tens of thousands of pieces of art being created. We see art mostly in those unfinished stages of the process. So that's probably has something to do with it. Most artists see their own art being created in all the different layers and stages, but often not other people's. And I spent more time looking at other folks making art than I've spent making art myself. It's probably the experience of a teacher more than of an artist even.
Okay, the pencil I'm using now is 20% warm gray.
Getting some sharp,
20%?
dark
70%.
accents. It's really
70% warm
okay,
gray.
70%. And it's given us some real structure to hang on to now in the top of that can, those dark accents.
Down here in the shadow a little bit too, or this reflection.
All right, another super chat from Turtle, who goes on to say, my wife accused me of intelligence once. Well, Turtle, I hope she won't make that mistake again. Thank you so much. Double thanks for your support tonight.
Blending with the colorless blender. Yeah, thank you so much for that. You say it was Turtle?
Turtle.
Turtle. Thank you, Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate those super chats. Ooh, grab the wrong pencil. Not ready for the indigo blue yet.
Jan's thinking that the words energy drink are going to have to, they're not going to make the cut. They're going to have to go.
Yeah, energy drink I don't think is going to make it on here, but I do think the other writing.
Oh, those tiny little letters. You need some of that.
The tiny little letters, we're going to insinuate those.
Mm-hmm. Buddy remembers that you always used to turn your pencils while drawing to keep a sharp tip. Have you been doing that? Kind of rotating into your hand as you draw? Okay.
But I see that something crazy happened here. Is this where I'm bleeding? I don't know what happened.
What? I see some splatters over there.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I had an alcohol-based marker that was
I think I have put blood into this. I'm not kidding.
Is it red?
I think that is
Check
from
your hands.
My finger bleeding a little bit.
Oh, there's a Band-Aid on there already.
Yeah. All right, this is indigo blue. How much time I got? 5 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, closer to 6.
Make these dark shapes a little darker. Wonder how many people are going to give me a hard time for bleeding on the artwork.
Bleeding for your artwork. Yep, it's Matt's going to have to file for workers' compensation now. He's been injured on the job.
Yeah, I don't think I have that.
I don't think you get that.
I hate that my paper got a little messed up though.
And now you're going to need to put more blood splatters on there. Make it work.
Right. If you put one blood splatter on your paper, you must have blood splatter somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere else.
Got to create some unity here.
Those are the rules. Create unity. All right, let's bring that highlights. Let's go with a little bit of a lighter gray over the R.
Mary Elizabeth suggests that when you switch to gel pen, you might be able to use that to cover the blood mark.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I'm really not that broken up over it. I wish I had some more grays in there, though. I wish I would have pulled out some more grays ahead of this.
You have you mean for the colored pencil grays?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit more up here. And then we'll put some words on here.
Mm-hmm.
And the gel pen action.
Don't forget about the gel pen, folks. It's going to make a difference because we've got little bits of white dancing all over this.
All right.
All over this can.
Yeah.
Bear in the Garden has a question that I think is a good one. Probably noticing the shadows down there on the ground. How do you decide how many light sources to use for your reference picks?
I typically like to only have one, but when I set this up, I had two.
And it's a reflective surface, you know?
Right. So reflective surfaces are going to usually do pretty good with multiple light sources. Mm-hmm. More than one. All right, let's put some indications of some highlights and maybe some words on here. We'll start up here with the 8 fluid ounces. So I'm just going to draw this right in with the with the ultramarine. And if you start to feel like it's looks a little too handwritten, you can just kind of flub it. And I'll show you what I mean by flubbing it in just a minute. A little bit of that down first. Put a little highlighter on it. That highlight all the way over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is how we flub. Okay, so down here where we've got the calories, I'm just going to put 110, maybe just 3 lines, and maybe just line, broken line.
So these words at the bottom are the equivalent of Charlie Brown's teacher talking.
Right.
You know their words. Yeah, we just don't know what words they are.
Put milliliter down here. And let's put some of the lighter text on there. Now I'm going to use a gel pen for this. 43 seconds left. Let's first put a couple of highlights up here and see if we can get that to stand out. There's right there. I found these gel pens, you know, you gotta wake them up. Let's try to wake this one's probably already awake. Come on, gel pen.
Didn't want to mark for you.
Camera shy. It's still camera shy.
Mary Elizabeth asks if Red Bull's from Europe because I think it's the discussions about the fluid ounces being 8.4 or 250 milliliters. I think Red Bull is an Austrian company. I know that's where the Red Bull ring is. So that's my guess.
Okay, well, I'm using the gel pen to do the outlines of the bulls. And doesn't have to be perfect.
I love the Red Bull ring. I think it's one of the best racetracks.
Right.
So Sandra says to store gel pens flat. Must happen to her too.
And right up here.
Good grief. I think that's what Charlie Brown says while his teacher's talking to him. Never good news.
All right, there's a very thin line around some of the letters, so I'm going to just kind of give a little hint of it.
Another future tip for those of us that don't use gel pens much, Annette tells us that if you scribble on your finger, it'll wake it up a little bit.
I really like materials that are ready to go. Put them in my hand.
Artful Doc says Bob Ross's happy little accidents usually didn't involve blood. This is like high impact art instruction.
It is. It's serious business. Look at that.
Shoo!
You can't see.
It's like a murder scene over there.
You can't. Yeah. Well, you can't see all of it, but there it is a murder scene over here. All right.
There's no X-Acto knives in Matt's in his pencil set right now.
Sorry,
I don't
guys.
know where this has come from.
Sorry, guys. That's gross. All right. I'm gonna use indigo blue here just to add a little bit of color to some of our darker areas up there. I know the time, and I'm also going to change course here And I am going to grab my gouache.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
the time is up, but I really want to put just a couple of really strong highlights on this. I really think it's going to make it pop. So I am going to erase the pencil lines that are still remaining here.
You know, when the gel pens came out, I started using them in place of gouache. They're not a great not an exact substitute. Maybe if the marks are really tiny, but gouache is still just a fantastic paint medium to apply to drawings for highlights. Hard to beat. It dries to a matte finish, so it seems to incorporate really well with other drawing media that's underneath.
Clean up this edge here a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
And boy, the blood's really taken away from it. Let me be right back.
Yeah, Jan, I agree. The temptation to use the gel pen, overuse it. You know, you do have to pull back with some of these media sometimes. I mean, it's mixed media, but we don't. You know, we want one media usually to dominate.
First thing I'm going to do is paint over my bodily fluids.
Just a little. Sometimes art has to be restored even before it's finished.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's a little bit better. I know I should have put a Band-Aid on my pinky finger. All right, let's put a couple of highlights on here. I'm going to put a couple of strong highlights up here. And right on the edge. I'm not using any water here. I'm just grabbing it straight out of the tube, which I probably should be using a little bit of water. I just want a couple of areas of sparkle.
Jan mentions that, you know, we now have Posca markers to use for this kind of thing too.
Yeah, but you know, the Posca markers aren't perfect either.
I like them though.
Yeah, I do like them. They're just not as good as gouache. All right, I'm going to say that's finished now.
All right, very good. Good looking Red Bull can. We just need to open it.
You know, it's not finished. One more thing. I'm going to put a little bit of a cast shadow back here, just so it feels a little more grounded.
Yeah, give it a little surface contact.
This is our 20% cool gray. Just a little simple shadow here. All right, that's a little better. It's a little more grounded. All right. Is that it? Do we have...
All right, very good. Let's see. I don't see any more questions. I think we're caught up on questions.
Yeah.
Just some discussion about markers and pens.
Well, what you got?
Ann M says that was a fun drawing. Jan says, great art, Matt.
I'm glad y'all enjoyed it.
Well done. Good job against the odds.
I have literally bled out without even realizing it was. You know what? It was this part of my hand. See that right there?
Yeah, I see that. And you just were sliding it on the paper.
It's just dry and cracked from all the stupid snow. And
Winter did this.
Yeah, Winter did this. It's Winter's fault. So yeah, there you go. If you wanted to go back and add the energy drink part right there, you could with a sharpened red pencil. That's what I was going to do if I needed to do that, if I had time to do that. I knew I wasn't going to have, a really great amount of time for this. And I knew it was going to be a substantial challenge. But I think the important thing to take from that is that even subjects that you know are going to be challenging, you should not avoid, and you should draw them and accept the challenge. And doing something like this live for however many people are watching this, bleeding in front of you, and knowing that there's a good chance that I'll make mistakes, and that's difficult to do. That is a challenge that is probably greater than some of the challenges you guys face when you're deciding what you're going to draw or paint. So when you're trying to decide on a subject and you look at a subject and you say to yourself, no, I'm not going to do that, that's too difficult, rethink that. Challenge yourself to draw difficult subjects or subjects that you feel are difficult, because that is where you're going to really see improvement happen fast.
Yeah, and if you get a finished result that you're happy with, you'll be more happy because you were challenged.
That's right. All right. If that's it, we'll go ahead and switch over here. All right, guys. Thanks for watching me bleed all over the paper. I hope you enjoyed that. I definitely I really love the combination of markers and colored pencils. And you can really take this combination to a really, really high level. And if you want to know more about this type of combination of materials, I just finished the course Colored Pencils Plus. And in that course, we look at combining colored pencils with various different media. We look at watercolor, Posca markers, alcohol-based markers, and even ink wash. But in that course, I do a complete finished marker and colored pencil drawing. That turns out to be pretty realistic. So if you want to check that out, of course, that's part of the membership program. I think I put a link to that course in the description below. But thanks for sticking around all the way to the end, those of you who did. Ashley, do you have anything else for anybody?
I'll be doing the drawing next week. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but I'll be excited to hopefully rise to whatever challenge it is. And I just can't get over Matt bleeding all over the page. It's like stigmata over there. His hands are perpetually bleeding. So well, let's keep that in mind. And
okay, well, listen. Since we're talking about my bleeding hands, let me first tell you, my finger is messed up. Okay, I told Ashley what happened when it happened, but my son got a basketball goal for Christmas. So I decided to take down the old basketball goal and put up the new basketball goal all by myself. So I think it was Christmas Day. It was Christmas Day.
And you're still wearing a Band-Aid from that.
I am.
That's tough.
And anyway, I got most of the first goal taken apart, but at the last minute, it snapped off, swung around, knocked me off the ladder I was on, and knocked me back into an Adirondack chair in I had in my yard. So I fell like, I don't know, 6 feet or something. And luckily, all that happened was I gashed my finger. I gashed it pretty good, but I gashed it right in where it bends. So I have to bend my finger. So it's taking a really long time to heal. And in the process, it's the winter time here, and it's dry and cold. And when you wash your hands in the dry and the cold, at least my hands start to crack and fall apart. And tonight they decided to bleed on the artwork. So anyway, if I would have known that would have happened, obviously I would have put on a Band-Aid. But anyway, that's where that Band-Aid comes from. And those of you who have been a part of the program, the membership program for a while, you know how often I injure my hands. So it should come at no surprise to those folks. All right, Ashley, you got anything else for the folks?
That's it. That's all I got. You guys have a great week. And if you're not going to join us in the live class in 20 some minutes, then we'll see you next week.
All right. And I second that. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment below if you're watching the recorded version. And we will see you with the next episode next week. Good night, everybody.